In today's video, we're going to cover the benefits of having a natural birth. Before we begin, let's define what a natural birth is. It's where you don't actually have any interventions of any type and you have a spontaneous beginning to your labour. And you basically might be at home or wherever you are and you just go with the flow. That's what a natural birth is about. It's where you don't get induced and you don't have any medical or the techno-medical model of birth come into play at all. What is the techno-medical model of birth? Well, that is one where you go into hospital, you'll have your stretch and sweep, they might shrom your membranes or break your membranes, and then they put the drip up of syntocinon or pitocin if you're in America, and your labour starts with the induction. So natural is not that. It is that very spontaneous beginning that you have where it just starts on its own with membranes breaking or maybe not, with menstrual cramping, or maybe you go straight into good, strong contractions. It could be any number of ways that it begins, but basically it's natural and you choose to use natural options. You don't have any interventions take place, therefore you tend not to get on the cascade of intervention, which I've actually made another video about the cascade of intervention that you can watch to see what that's about, because you can avoid the cascade of intervention, but you just need to know how. So putting out for a natural birth, planning for a natural birth is really the way to go if you would like to have this amazing, beautiful experiencing and creating a labour of love and creating the birth you want and desire. So there are some fundamental reasons that women have natural birth and they want a natural birth. So these are the benefits that I'm going to share with you now. The first one is, as I've already explained, is that basically it begins on its own. So you have this beautiful upward steady incline in intensity. I call it intensity. If you watch my other videos, you'll know I'm very passionate about the word intensity and not pain, because you go through a wave of intensity. It's not a pain and it's very doable. So when you go into warm-up labour, your oxytocin and your endorphins steadily climb and they support you into getting into that labour land, that place that you need to go to, which is really beautiful. So that is the benefit 100% of going into spontaneous labour and having a natural birth. I educate women, you've really got two choices with your labour journey. You go road A, which is all about the intervention, and it might be a medical necessity for you. There's no wrong or right here. It could be you have to go that way, and that's the way you go if it is a necessity for you to bring your baby into the world, to have an induction. But for those women that don't have any medical issues or anything go on, and they want that natural birth, and this is road B, and road B takes you to it all happening spontaneously. So you allow those hormones to kick in and you wait for the estimated date to arrive, and it is an estimate. It's not set in stone. It's not the date that you are due. And you be patient and you wait, and the hormones support you beautifully. Once you kick into labour with the contractions or the membranes breaking or whatever goes on, you go into that beautiful labour land. The hormones keep you in that gorgeous state that you need to be in to labour naturally. That's the beauty of natural birth. That's one of the top benefits, is that it just happens spontaneously. Next to that is you have no hormones on board that are artificial. So you don't have any syntocinon going into your body, which is an adrenaline-based drug. You don't have any of that going on. So you just are cruising along at your own pace and you are creating your own rhythm. So there isn't a drug forcing you to contract over and over and over. So that's the beauty of natural as well. Syntocinon or pitocin does drive your uterus fairly hard and fast, depending on how it is dripped into your body at what increment and timing. So A benefit of natural birth is that, as I said, you create your own rhythm, your own wave of intensity, and your own beginning to your labour journey. And then it just finds its own rhythm, which is really, really beautiful. Labour is about rest and recovery. You will get the rest and recovery when it's a natural birth. You'll have those beautiful spaces in between those waves of intensity that support you well. It makes you able to cope with the intensity better when it's natural, because, as I said, your body's not being pushed into a rhythm and a formula that is not your own. And the hormones support you. The more you surrender and let go, with the oxytocin and the endorphins, the higher you go and the more you go down into that labour state. So that's the beautiful, natural, conducive state of labouring naturally. It can assist you to feel strong and positive and like you've got it. You've absolutely got it. I hate to use the word control, but like you're in control. You have a heightened sense of well-being, and that sustains you really well to labour beautifully. You also have the absence of getting on the cascade of intervention that might happen if you were induced and you have syntocinon or pitocin. So you might get on that cascade and you can't get off. Natural birthing is about being able to move around your room using natural labour positions. You're not lassoed up to any heart rate machinery because you don't need to be. You can have the Doppler to have the baby's heart checked, and you have the freedom to use the shower and in a lot of hospitals or birth centres, the bath as well, and have a water birth. So that's the beauty of natural birth. You're not confined to the bed and machinery, that's a revelation in itself right there. So you can keep your natural active labour happening. They can be shorter labours because the baby's head is placed on your cervix, well positioned and putting pressure down. Your recovery time when you have a natural birth is so much better, because if you've had a cesarean, you shouldn't by rights pick the baby up for 6 to 8 weeks. You shouldn't be driving. Mobility can be tough because you've had abdominal surgery. So with a natural birth, you could be a bit sore vaginally, but most women are up having a shower within 2 hours, literally, of giving birth. Your recovery and your mobility is so much better with a natural birth. Your bonding with your baby is better. You can hold your baby skin to skin straight away. You're not on any opiates, so you're fully aware of the baby and yourself and your body and your surroundings, and you get that beautiful bonding. Feeding can often happen straight away as well. Baby goes on to breast if you're going to breastfeed, and you have beautiful letdown of colostrum, and you're not all hazy and out of it. One of the interesting things that happens with natural labour and births is that women have natural amnesia. So they can't often remember the whole labour journey. It becomes a brain fuzz, and that's the hormones supporting you in assisting you to remember certain parts of the labour, but not all of it. It's nature's way where you go to that very primal place when you're labouring naturally, and it does help you after to forget some of those parts you've experienced. So that I always find that very interesting. Women also have less likelihood of postnatal depression when they have naturally birthed, particularly when they've had huge amounts of adrenaline through the pushing at the end. That really sustains you for quite a few weeks after the birth, and that keeps you able to cope with the lack of sleep. Therefore, you don't feel as sleep deprived because you've had that huge rush of adrenaline at the end that will literally sustain you, as I said, for days and weeks, which is very important for women to experience. So postnatal depression is less likely in women that have natural births. Postnatally, you will feel amazing after a natural birth. Particularly if you've only received a graze or a little tear. That's why your perineum preparation is so important. Make sure you're looking after your perineum and you're doing your stretching. It's not massage, it's stretching. Massage implies it's going to be very comfortable, and in a lot of cases it is, but really that's foreplay to sex. You want to be stretching that tissue and experiencing a burn and a sting when you practice stretching your perineum prior to setting yourself up for your labour, because if you don't, it becomes a bit of a shock and the tissue won't be used to that stretch. The more that you can stretch it, the better. I've released another video about this, so have a look at for that one as well. And lastly, I want to say to you that the benefit of natural birth, and I'm going to read you this quote, and it came from Ina May Gaskin, who wrote Spiritual Midwifery, a book that has been around forever and is just a most gorgeous book that a lot of women my age used as their Bible when they were learning about childbirth education for their own labour journeys. And I've used it and quoted from her. I've worked beside her. And I should really introduce who I am. So I'm Gabrielle Target from A Labour of Love. I have been a childbirth educator for over 25 years. I have worked alongside the likes of Ina May Gaskin, who is one of the top childbirth education specialists in the world. And she is the most phenomenal midwife and woman that set up her own birthing farm where women used to go with their partners and they would have beautiful water births or just beautiful natural births at this farm. She has been around a very long time. If you're interested, look up her work. It is absolutely beautiful. Her books are beautiful. She wrote this quote, which she's given me permission to use in my books that I've written myself. So the interesting thing about pain of particularly birth is that it's clean. When you've finished experiencing pain, she calls it, it's over. You cannot re-experience its sensation by remembering it, which is the amnesic effect that I was speaking about. Labour pain is a special type of pain. It almost always happens without causing any damage to the body. Isn't that interesting? It's the only time that you experience an intensity or pain that isn't there to hurt you or remind you of something that's terrible that's happened to you, like, you've broken a bone or you've sustained an injury. It has the most positive connotation attached to it, the sensation to do with labour and birth. So just remember that when you're preparing yourself for this experience that's coming. You do not have to dread it. You do not have to fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real. It's setting yourself up to believe it's going to be one way when really it's not. It doesn't have to be that way at all. That's what I've got for you today. If you've really enjoyed this content, please subscribe. Please give me the thumbs up. And yes, I feel passionate about natural birth. If you need some help, I do one-on-one coaching with women to try and help them mentally through hypnosis to really get their head round what birth's about, what labour is about, and how you can go into this feeling so confident, so positive, so empowered. And that is what I do. I help empower women and couples so that they show up and they create the birth they want and desire. That's what I do. Love your way, birth your way. Bye for now.